What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Adam, this is Enduring Daddy, and today we're going to be talking about my office renovation. It's been a long time in the making, how we've gone from this to this and why. Stick around. So for about 18 months now, I've been working from home primarily, and working from home in a box. A bedroom when we first moved into the house, and since a very, very small cut-off from a bedroom off the back of us deciding to create a walk-in wardrobe for our room, and therefore leaving this without a window, which since got installed and then became my office. But the room is 7 foot by 5 foot. It's very, very small. Just about get away with being called a single bedroom, and it's quite claustrophobic once you've been in here for days and days and days, working day after day after day. So I wanted to take the time to create something a bit more visually pleasing from a backdrop standpoint for my day-to-day Zoom calls, as well as a room that could transform into becoming a backdrop for these videos in multiple different ways. The idea was that I had a room that could be used as I'm using it now, with you right in front of me, the entire room, as well as having the backdrop for my day-to-day Zoom calls. It also gives me the opportunity to record within the room for the YouTube channel from very different perspectives. So whether I want a backdrop of my computer screen or something completely different, then I can do that too. So let's have a look at the process I went through and some intricate details around how I tried to ensure that the room could change and didn't have to be static in one situation, to ensure that it was in keeping with our house decor. And I decided I always had to do something about the cable management nightmare that was sprawled across my desk day in, day out. I used my desk as a working environment, but also as a home for all of my geeky tech. So you've got numerous drones, GoPros, headphone sets, watches that all need a place to live and are usually on charge. If not left on charge, then just living there as a place for it to live. So I took some inspiration from a YouTube channel that I subscribe to called Becki and Chris, where they built what they describe as a charging wall, a station to which they can use to charge primarily their camera batteries for photo and video shooting. And I built my own, so utilizing a pegboard that I managed to find on Amazon, I've created a charging location that is a permanent feature on the wall in the office. It's already had some comments and some feedback saying that people think it's really interesting and actually it looks really cool, so rate that quite highly. But on here you've got obviously headphones, you've got a multi-socket with USB, and then plugged into that you've got the drone batteries. The drone charging block actually has 2 USB cables attached to it. Also you've got a 3-slot charger for the GoPro batteries, my 2 additional GoPros, and obviously I'm talking to you on one right now. You've then got a number of metal trays that are actually magnetic and they stick directly to this, so that I can put GoPro accessories, adapters, any sort of fitting or mounts on that as well. You've then got the watch and the drone charger as well, and then I've still got space up there because in the not too distant future I do intend on upgrading my camera kit for the channel, and therefore I'm going to need space to charge batteries for that as well. The board itself, actually, I managed to find on Amazon. They're a bit of a rarity, pegboards in the UK by all accounts, the plastic ones at least. There are a number of sort of wooden or cardboard ones that you can buy, but I wanted something a little more sturdy. So this is actually an aluminium board that is designed for storing garage tools. And I took the decision to actually add some lighting behind it. So these are some Gove strip LED lights that I actually use around the desk in the office already. I thought that would add a bit more of an interesting look. From a mounting standpoint, I bought cable management pods, I bought Velcro systems for cable management. I also bought double-sided sticky Velcro for mounting the multi-socket, the drone battery charger, and the GoPro battery charger to the board itself. Obviously the mesh baskets are magnetic already, and then it really was a case of just working out where I wanted everything to live. Now I took a number of pictures of how it might well be laid out before mounting everything together, as well as marking on the wall where the board needed to go before mounting everything to it, to ensure that I wasn't trying to hold that up against the wall and work out where the holes needed to be drilled. Now stupidly, oversight on my part, the board is not the same length from middle to bottom, middle to top, and therefore I managed to get it the wrong way up, and have got some nice big plasterboard screws in the back behind this in the wall, which you can see through some of the holes, but it's not really noticeable. Now I've seen a few other videos online where they've been utilising pegboards in this way, and they've managed to actually hide the cables behind the pegboard by feeding them through. Unfortunately, even with the smallest of the micro USB adapters that I used for this particular project were too big to go through those square holes, and I really didn't want to butcher the board in any way, shape or form to try and preserve the look of it. It was mounted onto plasterboard, so I used plasterboard screws and screwed it to the wall, and it's on there absolutely solidly. It's not going anywhere. And then from a cable management standpoint, this is where the difficulty lay really, is the cable length of the multi-socket adapter was far longer than it needed to be. So I had to come up with a way of hiding that, and therefore add some relatively lengthy cable management conduit to include the excess from that multi-socket adapter to try and hide it as best I could. Now, if you like the video, please do hit that thumbs up button. And if you're new here and are interested in following the journey in terms of how the channel develops and how my training is progressing towards the half marathon I've got lined up in March, then please do hit that subscribe button. Once again, it massively helps the channel. During the process, I also took the decision to upgrade one of my monitors. I previously had a 27-inch curved Samsung monitor, which was 1080p and didn't have a VESA mount on the back. One part of the project that I wanted more than anything else was to mount the monitors on the wall, thus having them off the desk, and also, where possible, upgrading my existing monitor to something a little more in keeping with video editing and color grading. So I went for a U28 HP monitor, which offers a DCI P3 color gambit, and will be doing an unboxing of that monitor in a later video. Now, we finally managed to get the monitors on the wall last night, however it wasn't as straightforward as I was hoping. Disappointingly, the walls are not solid despite being outer walls, and therefore have plasterboard and foam insulation within them, so when I stuck the drill through the wall there was nothing there. So I took the decision to use some of the same scaffold board wood that I made the desk out of, just to make a brace, a plate for the wall. That's then held in with plasterboard screws, and the mounting bracket for the two displays is bolted into that. The next thing to think about is acoustics, and I have a pile of acoustic foam that I plan to mount in various points around this room to help dampen the reverberation of the acoustics of the room. Unfortunately, having whopping great big black panels all over the walls is not conducive with our house decor, and when I'm trying to use this room as both an office and a studio, I plan to try and do so in a way that means that it can transform from one to the other. So the plan is to utilise Velcro mounting strips and double-sided tape to secure the foam soundproofing panels to big sheets of mounting card. What I then plan to do is use the Velcro strips to secure the mounting card to the wall. That then gives me the ability to pull the mounting card off the wall and replace it with a variety of different pieces of artwork or various bits and pieces when I'm not recording, and then mount them back up when I need them once again. So the plan is to be able to take a picture like this and swap it out for a mounting board with acoustic foam attached to it. The foam panel I bought was relatively cheap. It was about 25 quid for 12 sheets off Amazon. There's a lot of corners that have been crinkled. It comes flat packed and you have to soak it in water and then it's supposed to expand back out to its usual size, but unfortunately it didn't. However, buy cheap, buy twice, right? And there we have it, first 4 panels in place, and now to repeat the process for others around the room. So day to day, I tend to sit here for long periods of time on Zoom calls and webinars, and this is what people see. This is where my laptop is, sat right in front of you, and the backdrop isn't particularly attractive. Now, when I'm building this as a studio, I want it to be dynamic. I want to be able to record facing this way, record facing this way, and possibly even record facing this way. And therefore I want to ensure that each direction looks different. I also want to try and build out a more attractive backdrop for my day-to-day Zoom calls, because I spend a lot of time in meetings and this is just not working. I also find that the Zoom backgrounds or the dynamic sort of blurring of background doesn't tend to work particularly well. So I tend to keep it just as is, and being able to just put some various bits and pieces in the background will be hugely helpful. I bought a variety of sizes of photo frame and some hangers for some plants. I'm also going to create another scaffold board shelf and put that here where the filing cabinet used to be, and then sit some plants on that as well to try and add a bit of greenery to the room. I've always been a big fan of woodwork, and in keeping with the wood within the office already, using reclaimed scaffold boards, i.e. the desk and the big shelf, as well as the mounting bracket for the monitor arms, I thought it only fitting to use the same wood to create the shelf for the Zoom backdrop. I'm actually really pleased with how the backdrop came out. I've used some relatively low cost picture frames, I've added a couple of plants, some additional acoustic foam on the left hand side there, and it's got a number of comments from colleagues and from customers that say it's really interesting. It's significantly better than the inbuilt Zoom clunky sort of pixelated backgrounds that you can get, even the blurry ones, and I much prefer it. That's it guys, office complete, and I hope you found that interesting and useful if you're going through the process of creating your own. Have you created your own home studio or renovated your own home office since the COVID outbreak and everybody being remote and working from home? If so, stick that down in the comments. Love to hear how you've done that and any ideas that you've got for other people. If you're interested in seeing what the channel's all about and where it all began, I'll stick that video up here. If you're interested in seeing the recap for the last triathlon I did in September, I'll stick that video down here. And coming up is going to be a training program update for the half marathon I've got booked in March. So I'll see you in the next one.